Welcome to the Onebar and Lupagus Show, your daily source for everything Minnesota Vikings.
We got a lot to talk about today. This isn't beer. It's root beer. I wish it was beer. I wish I could drink beer because that is how I feel about the game last night. So give me just... Okay. Here's my first question. What the fuck? That's my first question that I would like to pose to all of you. What the actual fuck? Listen. I had high expectations for the Minnesota Vikings going into the 2025-26 season, and maybe it's because I was one of the people alongside Thor who really truly believe in JJ McCarthy. Now, I want it to be known, I still believe in JJ McCarthy, and I still believe that he could be a decent quarterback. And you know why? Because of Peyton Manning. Now, I know what you're thinking, Dakota, what the fuck are you on? First of all, I'm on nothing right now. I'm on Kroger Big K root beer right now. That's what I'm on. But what I mean is that there was an article written in this past off season about how young quarterbacks are developed in the NFL. How basically at this point they are sent basically out on the field to either flourish or to perish. We don't give them time to develop anymore. We don't give them time to sit and learn, and we don't give them the growing pains of what it means to have a long-term career in the NFL. I am a huge supporter of Kirk Cousins. Hello, right there. Hi. You all know that I kind of got where I am in the Vikings Twitterscape because of my love of Kirk Cousins, of defending Kirk Cousins. And I will defend that man until he retires, and probably well after. And the reason why I do is because I feel as if he had gone to a team that actually wanted him, that actually wanted to spend the time to develop him, he would have become something great. And I think we saw that in him when he played for us. We saw that greatness as he was developing with Kevin O'Connell. Unfortunately, by the time Kevin O'Connell got his hands on him, it was too late. It was too late, and it ended up being what it was. I am always 100% fully in support of Kevin O'Connell. I don't think there will ever be a day that I will find myself in a place where I despise him as much as I despised Mike Zimmer. Now, is that to say that in my mind that he is dissolved of, or whatever the word is, of absolved of any wrongdoing? No. The play calling last night definitely could have been a lot better. But the way I feel about Kevin O'Connell is the way I feel like a lot of people feel about Brian Flores, in that a lot of you all sometimes, because of how much you love Brian Flores, refuse to see his faults. What do I mean by that? Well, let's get into our first topic that I would really like to cover today, and that is the Minnesota Vikings defense. You all owe me an apology about that secondary. The reason why the Bears were able to play as well as they did is because they cut up our secondary. And now I'm seeing a lot of people in the community say, well, it's just because we have all of these injuries. It's just because of this. It's just because of that. The Lions were able to get as far as they did last year with all of their injuries. What is your excuse now? I don't want to hear it anymore about how once so-and-so comes back, we'll be better. How we just have to wait for this injury to... No. This isn't baseball. We don't have 100 and something games to eventually get it right. We've got 17 games. And now the Minnesota Vikings are 1-1. We almost were 0-2. We're not. Because JJ McCarthy locked in at the last minute. But we're 1-1. And it has a lot, in my opinion, to do with defense. Did the defensive line help us out in Chicago? Absolutely it did. But that secondary, in my opinion, is a big reason why they dropped 24 on us. Then last night, you have what was once the second best run defense in the NFL looking like a complete and utter joke. And I'm sorry, it's not because one or two guys were injured. I think it has a lot to do with play calling, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it just didn't seem like we actually prepared. You can throw out the excuse that, oh, well, it was a short week. Okay, and the Packers had a short week, and look what they did to the Commanders. What is your excuse now? One of my biggest beefs with the Minnesota Vikings community is the fact that we are all either just absolutely pessimistic after one or two bad games, or we will find excuses for things. I'm so tired of the excuses. Stop giving me the excuses. Last year, the Minnesota Vikings were ranked second per Fox Sports on rushing defense, with only 93.4 rushing yards allowed on average per game. They only allowed 90 in the playoffs. There were only 12 rushing touchdowns allowed against us, which is tied for the number one, which was the Ravens. And we didn't allow any rushing touchdowns in the playoffs. Now, granted, are the Rams a really run-heavy team? Sometimes, sometimes not. It really kind of depends on what their wide receiver situation looks like. But to go from allowing an average of 93.4 rushing yards against us in the 2024 season to 143 on Bijan Robinson alone. 143 from Bijan Robinson alone. You can't sit here and tell me it's just because of injuries. We really didn't make that much of an improvement or change on defense because our defensive line was so great to begin with. And you all are sitting here telling me that that defensive line is going to carry us to the promised land. Well, kind of hard to do that when you're letting Bijan Robinson run 143 yards on you. And I'm sorry, but after the game week 1 where the Falcons lost, the first thing I heard anyone from the Falcons organization say was, we lost because we didn't utilize our run game. Are we all really that stupid to think that they aren't going to fix that for week 2? Are we really that stupid to think that they saw what happened when they lost, when they didn't utilize Bijan Robinson? You can't sit here and tell me that you guys are going to allow for Brian Flores to get away with this, because it is a coaching thing. It is a lack of preparedness. Yeah, the injuries cost us. Yeah, the defense got tired, but I remember sitting backstage being able to only listen to the game during curtain call of the show that I'm stage managing and thinking, oh my God, what is happening? Did they prepare for this at all? Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, towards the end of the show, literally said, and I quote, "It seems like the team doesn't know the playbook." And that was in reference to the offensive line. And now I don't think JJ McCarthy doesn't know the playbook. I think he does, knowing his work ethic. I think it's that offensive line. Now, I do think the offensive line will get better with Christian Darrisaw in the left, because it's, in my opinion, one of the most valuable positions in football. But some of the mistakes last night were reminiscent of that 2023-2024 season. I was getting flashbacks to that. It was atrocious. Ed Ingram might as well have just been out there. And to circle back on that that defense, letting Cam Bynum walk is, I think, one of Kwesi's biggest mistakes. And I don't know if I will ever forgive him for that. And it isn't just because I love Cam Bynum, but look at the production that he's putting up in Indianapolis. It is entirely a fuck you to the Minnesota Vikings organization with how well he's doing over there. Joshua Metellus needs help. Isaiah Rodgers needs help. And I fear it isn't something that just Harrison Ford coming back is simply going to fix. But what do I know? Speaking of things that I know, and you all owing me an apology, where's my apology for TJ Hockenson? And I swear to God, if any of you say, well, you're giving JJ McCarthy time, you should be giving TJ. No, I'm not going to give TJ Hockenson time. And this will probably be a reoccurring thing where I will have a teeny tiny little segment within my segment where I just expose the fact that you all need to move on from TJ Hockenson. His stats that I am looking at right here from the 2023 season, the season where he got injured, he had 960 yards, 127 targets, 95 receptions. 95 receptions and 127 targets. Still almost had 1,000 yards. I mean, that's insane. That's impressive, right? Then we look at last season when he came back after his injury. Still played a decent chunk of games. 41 receptions with 62 targets. Better. They're better. Granted, he played less games, less chances for him to drop things, with 455 yards. Not the best, but again, he came off of injury, right? So far this season, he has 4 receptions, 7 targets. Okay, so he's doing better with the ball security, with 27 receiving yards. Would you like to know what ESPN has him projected at? Because I would love to tell you. ESPN has him projected at only 230 receiving yards. I have a friend who I'm helping out in fantasy because he doesn't watch football as intensely as I do. Like, he likes watching it, but he's not, he doesn't know left from right when it comes to football. And I think that's really cute. I told him to get TJ Hockenson. Do you want to know how many points he brought in, my friend? 0.6. Now, granted, last night wasn't the Vikings' best night, so of course our guys aren't going to get a lot of points. But he didn't do a good job last week either. I'm going to pull up the receipts. Let's pull up those receipts, shall we? Let's see how many points TJ Hockenson brought my friend last week. Let's see. This was last week. TJ Hockenson brought in 0.7 points. From a guy who supposedly worked out with JJ McCarthy and would be a good and open reception for JJ McCarthy. But you all keep telling me to wait. I'll keep waiting. Though granted, I respect our tight end who wears the number 87 more than I respect the Chiefs tight end who plays 87. And yeah, this is coming from a Swiftie. Hi, why the fuck are you wearing free 4 shirts? What the fuck? What the actual fuck? I can't believe the audacity of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't like the Chiefs. I've never liked the Chiefs. I don't like their pre-show stuff. I don't like their version of the SKOL chant. I don't. I'm confused, however, why we think it's okay to wear shirts that say free 4. Would you like to know what number 4 on the Chiefs did? For those of you who've been living under a rock, Rashee Rice was going 119 miles per hour on the highway in his Lamborghini before hitting 6 vehicles and injuring 4 people in said 6 vehicles, and then proceeded to run from the scene. Now, granted, I shouldn't be talking. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. Our wide receiver was caught sleeping on the highway, but he was sleeping and owned up to it. Now, granted, this is the second time that Jordan Addison had been caught doing something illegal in a car. I believe it was his rookie season where he was caught speeding because he had to go help his dog to the vet. Don't know how true that is. But at least he understands what he did wrong and wasn't going 119 miles per hour on the highway. And at least he wasn't accused by the judge in his case of not actually being as remorseful as he seemed. Rashee Rice's judge did not believe the remorse that Rashee Rice seemed to have. But the Chiefs are wearing free 4 t-shirts. I need you all to stop telling me that I need to like the Chiefs and that my hatred of the Chiefs is forced. It's not forced. I hate the Chiefs. Any good, decent person should hate the Chiefs. Any good, decent person should hate the Chiefs. And any good, decent person should realize that growing pains with a young quarterback are going to happen, and he needs to be playing in these losses. He needs to have them happen. It's not going to be a short-term thing. Growth is not linear. I'm going to say that again. Growth is not linear. He had a good wake-up call yesterday. To quote Kevin O'Connell, I just think as a whole, there's not enough emphasis put on the organization's role in the development of a quarterback of the quarterback position. I believe that organizations fail young quarterbacks before young quarterbacks fail organizations. It isn't just about finding talent. It's about creating an environment where the talent can thrive. Now, this is from Greg Burge, who, for those of you who are unaware, he's a huge guy on teaching coaching, as well as building a winning culture within football teams and businesses. I apologize for my dog. What are you doing, babe? Okay, good talk. Building culture is the number one of the coach. And we have seen that. We have seen that Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi put an emphasis on culture. I've heard some people say that maybe it was too early for us to bring JJ McCarthy onto the field. I disagree. He's not going to, you're going to learn a lot on the bench. And he was forced on the bench last year. You're going to learn more by doing. I am personally somebody that I hate when I have to sit and learn. It's not how I learn. I don't learn by sitting and taking notes. I learn by doing. You don't learn if you don't fail. I also am not a huge fan of cancel culture. I don't think that shaming people, unless it's something egregious, like what the Chiefs did yesterday with those fucking shirts, helps anybody learn. I'm not stressed about JJ McCarthy. I'm stressed about that defense. I'm stressed about our O-line. But if Kirk Cousins can do it, then JJ McCarthy's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. It's week 2. We're going to be fine. We're 1-1. It's week 2. We play the Bengals next. Carson Wentz versus Mr. Browning of the Bengals. I think that's a win. I think we have a win in the bag as long as we go back to basics. Get the ball to JJ. And by JJ, I mean Justin Jefferson. Let Mason... Yeah, I keep doing this, where I combine his first name and his last name. Let Mason run. Let him go. Let him do it. And if TJ Hockenson has a good game next week, I'll stop talking about him. But he has like one more week to prove me wrong, or else I'm making my slander of him a segment. Anyway, thanks for tuning in with Spittin Fire with Koda. I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic day. I just realized it still says Flame On. Well, they'll fix it in post. And if not, maybe next week I'll remember to change the name. Hope you all have a great week. I will see you in the next one.